Last week we went down Murray Street to see the hands-off WikiLeaks rally. The strangest thing about all of this WikiLeaks stuff is that you find that Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook recently won Times Man of the Year for releasing secrets that we probably don't want anybody to know. And yet Julian Assange of WikiLeaks is now being persecuted worldwide for releasing the secrets that we do need to know. Which one's in the public interest? We find out.
This video showing civilians being killed by the US military in Iraq is what led to the overnight hit of the WikiLeaks website.
Light them all up.
Come on, fire!
Australian founder Julian Assange might now face criminal charges in the US as a result.
He's getting up.
If he has a weapon though in his hand?
No, I haven't seen one yet. You guys got that guy crawling right now on the curb? Yeah, I got him. I put 2 rounds near him, and you guys are shooting over there too, so we'll see.
Should Australians be concerned? One man in Perth seems to think so. Hello Alex, welcome to Undercurrent.
Thank you for being here.
Alex, you've been organizing a series of events in Perth in support of WikiLeaks and its founder Julian Assange. Now tell us, why are you doing this?
Well, we think it's very important, really. The attacks on WikiLeaks are attacks on fundamental values like free speech, like democracy and journalistic freedom. These things are integral to the good things in our society, and we think that they're important to defend them.
It has not affected the Australian government as much as the US government. Why should Australians stand up and take issue when it appears not to affect their country as much?
Look, Australians are part of the world. The Australian government is implicit in war crimes in Iraq and Afghanistan. WikiLeaks has exposed information about all those things. Australia is in bed with the #1 regime of war criminals, torturers, murderers. The United States government is the one I'm talking about. And yes, anybody who is concerned about justice, who is concerned about democracy, who is concerned about human rights, has every reason to defend the process of telling the truth about these government lies and about these war crimes that WikiLeaks has been engaged in. WikiLeaks is a form of disseminating information. It is a form of journalism.
That is right.
Admittedly, it should have all the same attitudes of media protection, free speech rights that traditional media have also.
Okay, that brings me to my next question. Is WikiLeaks even considered as a form of journalism? Fact-finding alone does not constitute journalism. Does WikiLeaks bring to its audience a fair and balanced perspective on the facts that it's publishing?
I actually think that's a merit in WikiLeaks, that if people have got queries or want to go and test journalistic claims that have been made against actual facts and against the evidence, people have got the full freedom to do so. That's a positive feature.
Does the public have the right to know everything about their government at the expense of national security?
The test to be made is it in the public interest?
That is right.
And the example that was given, it might be a problem if someone's publishing, worldwide launch codes for nuclear missiles. That might be a problem. Is that in the public interest? Probably not. But when the government is telling lies to its people, guilty of war crimes, and then trying to cover up their crime, that is in the public interest, and that should be the spotlight shone on that.
Are you telling us that Australians cannot depend on the traditional mainstream media for their information?
The corporate media is often embedded in the establishment, and its critique is limited. And so people that want a real penetrating analysis, that really want to get to the bottom of some issues, can't always rely on the mainstream media to get the information that they need. And that is why WikiLeaks is a positive alternative. It's an additional media source that people can utilise if they want to. But for that reason, it is profoundly worth defending.
Our government usually represents and protects its citizens overseas, even when they are involved in a major crime. The Bali 9 is one very good example. Now, this somehow does not appear to be the case for Julian Assange's case. Why do you think so?
I think the answer to that question is simply that the Australian government has got more allegiance to their alliance with the war criminal leadership of the United States than they care for ordinary citizens in Australia.
Will keeping WikiLeaks alive lead to a more open and transparent Australian government?
Put it this way, I don't think you can get more openness and transparency by closing WikiLeaks down. So for that reason, yes, we are definitely trying to defend WikiLeaks and keep it open. That's not to say that governments will not respond to WikiLeaks, and one of the possibilities is that governments themselves will try and clamp down and close up, and obviously that's something that citizens should protest about and resist. But as WikiLeaks has shown, you can't keep a secret forever.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you for your time. It's been great having you on Undercurrent. Thank you.
Good to be here.
Light them all up.
Come on, fire.
Hey, Roger.
No, we got two birds. We're still firing.
Roger.
Got him.
Texas is 2-6. We'll move, but we got that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I was
Kids are heading back to school this week, and the Gillard Labor government is encouraging 1.3 million Australian families to take advantage of the education tax refund to ease the pressure on parents with back to school costs. It is being debated though how effective this will be. Do you believe there's an increased pressure for parents and back to school costs?
I think there is. Not only do parents come out of the expensive Christmas season, of course, but schools are increasingly under pressure to make their budgets actually stretch. And one of the ways that they tackle that is by attempting to try and get further supports from parents through book lists and so on. So that can bring additional pressure on parents.
Do you believe that this will really help struggling families?
Well, I guess part of the question is to what extent do the struggling families know about this particular tax benefit. Any assistance is going to be helpful to them, we can't deny that. But what we would say or question, is this the best way in which to provide support for young children in schools? Government should be paying attention to the types of budgets that they should be providing to schools to enable them to be able to deliver an adequate, a proper, a good quality public education for our students, and not put unnecessary demands on parents by saying, we'll compensate you for the expenditure.
So what are some of the flaws that you see in the education refund system?
There's some questions to be asked, I think, about supporting for extracurricular activities and tutoring, when again we would say that money would be best provided in schools to provide targeted quality programs, psych services and so on that would better address the needs or the learning needs of those children, other than sending them on a bit of a wild goose chase to look into a market outside a school situation. We would prefer to see government money put back into schools where we can guarantee good programs and quality and appropriately qualified people to support those programs, rather than in the open market.
Many parents would have liked to see more items included on the list, including school uniform expenses. Have you heard of the education tax refund system?
I have, briefly. All I know that they had something in last year as well where you could claim so much back for stationery and stuff like that. No, I haven't, no.
Okay, so obviously the message hasn't been out there?
No, not at all, not clear enough anyway.
I had heard a little bit about it. I saw it on the ATO website.
I haven't actually, so it's good to know.
I actually haven't, no.
So basically the government is going to refund a maximum of $794 per high school student, so you can spend that on things like internet service, books. Is there things that you would like to claim that might be on the list?
Definitely, yes, definitely. And we use all of that. They rely heavily on the internet these days for study and school assignments and things like that.
School excursions and things like that are becoming more expensive. I don't know if that's something you could claim.
School books, I suppose, that's the most expensive part, and then some of the fees. So, yeah, and they do give a little bit.
So are you finding it's getting more and more expensive for back to school costs?
Oh, definitely, definitely. My son's in high school and it just goes up and up every year.
What are the things that are costing you the most?
Books and uniforms. Very expensive.
Ridiculously expensive. It's a struggle every year, and we find more so every year.
But it'd be great if you could claim on uniforms as well.
Finally tonight, we went to the anime convention Waicon and spoke to the organiser of the event about how it's grown over the years.
Now, if you're a fan of Japanese anime and gaming, then Waicon is the place to be. Waicon is a 2-day convention which attracts more than 3,000 people. I'm about to head into the convention and speak to Trina Ten, the Vice President of Panic, the people responsible for putting this amazing event together. Let's go. I'm here with Trina Tan, the Vice President of Waicon. Hi Trina, how are you?
Hi, I'm great, thanks. How are you going?
Good. Tell us a little bit more about Waicon.
Waicon's just a convention we hold once a year, usually at the end of January, and it's just to promote Japanese animation and Japanese culture in Western Australia. About 7 years ago, we had a member of the anime community come over from the eastern states and say, I just went to an excellent anime convention and I think we should have one here. About a year and a half later, after lots of rigmarole, we got to have our first convention at UWA, and since then we've moved up to bigger places, so that's good. But yeah, it started off with 500 people and now we're getting up to, the 4,000 mark, so we're pretty happy about that.
Some people think anime is just cartoons for children. What do you have to say about that?
The animation coming out of Japan can have very adult themes. There's lots of ones that are specifically addressed to older audiences, so it's a bit misleading what is released here, but there's actually quite a lot of adult anime, and cartoons basically aren't for kids anymore, they're for everyone.
What are the ages of the people that come?
In the beginning, it was usually around, I'd say, 20 to 30s, but more and more, we're getting a lot of teenagers coming in. So now, as well, of course, the people who are happy to are still enjoying anime at 40, 50, people bring in their kids. So I'd say the general amount of people who come in here are probably average age, maybe 21.
What goes into planning and organising such an amazing event?
Waicon is run by an organisation called Panic, and that's made entirely just of volunteers, people who give up their time to see this happen. And for just a year, 10 of us just work at it as much as possible to make sure that we have everything running and everything happening for the convention. We also organise a bunch of events during the year to make sure to help also promote Waicon.
What other events do Waicon and Panic organise throughout the year?
To help promote, we do some video games competitions, we do some screenings. One of our big events is the race around Perth, which is based on the Amazing Race. And we have about 70 people running around Perth trying to solve tasks and clues. We also always run a formal ball so that people, have a chance to dress up, be social, that kind of thing, while promoting anime.
In today's society, we accept the use and the abuse of alcohol. It's completely legal. And yet there's a natural alternative in marijuana that's completely illegal and in fact has been recriminalised under the WA law. But why? There are medicinal benefits to marijuana as well. Over the next few weeks, we'll take a look at some of those benefits and the people who specifically get some kind of real, tangible benefit from the use of marijuana. You have to ask the question, in what way is alcohol of any benefit to anyone? In what way is marijuana? Tune in and we'll tell you. Well, Well, that's all we have time for this week. Some of the stories we have for you next week. Fremantle MP Melissa Park joins us again to talk about why she supports same-sex marriage. We investigate the state of the WA steel industry and we look into some clean energy solutions that are making waves in the industry. If you'd like to get involved with Undercurrent or you have a story that you think we should cover, please get in touch with us here at West TV. This is your show about your city and we'd love to hear from you. Your feedback really is a very important part of how we put the show together. Why not visit our website at wtvperth.com.au. We'll be back again next week and would love to have your company then. I'm Jason Jordan. Good night.